This will be an interesting question because while it's addressed to me, I'm interested in hearing kind of what both of us think about it, although I can't imagine we're too far apart. But Paul, who's a pandeist, wants to know what has questions about spirit mediumship and rationality. So welcome, Paul.
Hey, Matt Mandisa. It's great to talk with you.
Hi.
Hi. So, dealing with religion and spiritualism on an anthropological level, there's a kind of a polarity between the practices of focused meditation and then trance mediumship, and I see the trance mediumship element or mystic practice come up again and again. I'm wondering if you feel like people can engage in psychologically warping. Well, I'm going to say warping. That's a negative connotation. Psychologically, psychoactive practices like spirit mediumship without having to buy into woo or being irresponsibly irrational.
Are you saying how crazy are spirit mediums?
Well, no, I've known quite a few spirit mediums, and I've seen a range of approaches to it, but I'm not sure.
Okay, let me make this really easy, Paul. Let me make this really easy, Paul. I see no good evidence that anything like a spirit or soul exists or could exist. I see no good evidence that anyone who's engaging in mediumship is in any way actually communicating with any non-corporeal mind at all. And that makes it irresponsible. It puts it in the category of pseudoscience. How irresponsible it is and how dangerous it is depends on what they're doing with it. But there's no good reason to think that it's true. Plenty of good reason to think that it's not true. And I don't know what else you would want me to say. As far as I can tell, it's bullshit.
That definition of true, which I hold to as well, and I agree in that hard.
Wow, you were talking through the whole end of that, weren't you? Go ahead.
No, it wasn't. I wasn't at all. I was trying to be very careful not to interrupt you, sir, because I don't want to. Doing your job must be very frustrating, you know. So I just, also being excited. I don't want to nip at you back your heels, but I still did. Sorry. I mean, in a Dadaist kind of creative subconscious approach to the union collective unconscious, but no external to a mind, external to a physical mode of transmission of culture. Nothing beyond that kind of Dadaist reaching.
I don't know why you called in to ask about whether or not I think something is rational or dangerously irrational, and then go on to praise it as a Dadaist thing, which is deliberately irrational. It is embracing the irrational.
Yeah, but confinedly so, not in a way that's not.
If you want to go pretend that you're talking to dead people, go for it. but if you want to try to convince somebody else that you're doing it, please fucking stop, because you're not.
Right, and similar to the way the Judeo-Christians, the Judeo-Christian religions work, there doesn't seem to be any really good evidence for it. And so, yes, it would be irresponsible for people to claim that they can either communicate with the dead or bring someone back from the dead simply based on, whatever you think you're practicing. And do I think that is there a rational basis for it? No, there isn't.
Yeah. If you're giving someone life advice, if you're sitting around, I have friends who use, for example, tarot cards in their magic acts. I use tarot cards in my magic act, but I don't prop up any woo in the process. I talk about it. Matter of fact, I give kind of a disclaimer at the beginning of it, but I don't require that every magic performer put a disclaimer before it. If you want to have a spooky seance, I have friends who do spooky seance shows, but they're not pretending that anything there is real. Now, If, on the other hand, you are giving people life advice or taking people's money with the promise that you're going to talk to their dead loved ones and other things else, then you are, as far as we can tell, a disgusting ghoul that is preying on people. And until you can demonstrate that what you claim to be doing, you can actually do, you should be practicing this on pain of going to fucking jail from the Bunko Squad.
I don't mean to be splitting hairs. I don't think this is necessarily going to change the prognosis, so to speak. It's a metaphor. But excluding any notion that they're claiming that a given group of mediums is claiming to talk to dead people, but more magical spirits like Merlin.
I have no evidence of anything magical or spirit. You can use whatever fucking bullshit woo term you want, but as long as you're talking about things that aren't demonstrated, my opinion is the same.
Do you think that the people that are going to those Merlin channelers, do you think that they believe in a way that could make this predatory, or do you think that they're looking to engage in fantasy?
Some do, some don't. But if you want to engage in, I can go to medieval times and engage in fantasy. I can go to the Ren Fair and engage in fantasy. I don't need to prop up notions about spirits, souls, dead people, which many people do believe in, which are the cornerstone and hallmarks of many religions, the notion of a soul and an afterlife and whether or not you can reach that. I don't need to give clearance and protection to dangerous, harmful ideas that are propping up religion and dividing us just in the name of fun. I don't find that fun at all.
With that extent, I want to get Mandisa's continued take on this, but I just have one last follow-up question. Would you extend that to being wary of movements like Dadaism, or related kind of?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it is totally possible for people to be indulging in fantasy and being predatory at the same time. Which, as if Matt said, if people are doing that, then they are being not just irresponsible, but also very dangerous, and it could be considered criminal.
Yeah, one of the problems is that you get people who are love to view themselves as intelligent. Oh, I'm engaged in this in a Dada-esque sense. I obviously don't think it's real, but there are people who do, and inevitably.
No. So that was my that was my articulation. That wasn't theirs. That was me trying to.
Never mind. I'm done not finishing sentences. Anyway, sorry, thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. Hope you got the answer you were looking for. I don't get it. People are like, oh, what do you think about this? Okay, I'll tell you. Yeah, but what about that? Well, okay, I'll tell you. It's really simple. I'm not a stick in the mud. I have lots of fun. I do lots of stuff. I do magic shows. I do fake spiritualist mind reading things. The difference is that I start off by saying, I don't have any psychic or paranormal abilities as far as
entertainment as well. Yeah. We can be entertained by these things. I mean, they can be fun to do, but to take them seriously, and to try to convince people that they should take it seriously, we absolutely have the right to question one's sense of logic and reasoning and where they're coming from.
And I have no problem with cosplay and LARPing, live action role playing. The difference is when some people are LARPing, but aren't aware that they are, or denying that they are,
right.
Unless you're being filmed and you're trying to, make an interesting movie for somebody, is a problem.